This is my turn to make some comments at the end of the day and close the program. I will not take much time. I only mention in the program that what we learned from our involvement with the Erasmus Plus program for the last 3 years. And what is the future that we can think of beyond, either through Erasmus or by our independent endeavor. One thing is positive, that Erasmus Plus program has given us some impetus. I don't like to say initiative, impetus, definitely, that we are doing right things. So we should carry forward and we continue with our journey at the next level. So what is that next level? Next level is that we have developed some kind of a curricula, what we termed as environment and disaster management. All my younger colleagues and 2 batch of students, they by that time, they have already recognized that what are these issues. So I have a mix of feeling. Some topics we have taught in the semester, in the first batch of students, and some topic has gone to the second level. So what is new about this? At the beginning itself we said that the Ramakrishna Mission programs are deviated from the convention. We really don't talk about the conventional science. We talk about something different that has got relevance to the community, that has relevance to its the practicality in whatever form, and then we try to impart our knowledge to those different areas. Probably all of you know that Ramakrishna Mission is one of the organizations wherever disaster takes place in the country, at any extreme corner, the first group that we see, responders, are the people from Ramakrishna Mission. Any interior, whether it's an earthquake, whether it's a massive eruptions or flood or things like this, the first batch of responders, we always find that Ramakrishna Mission is there. That means the disaster environment and disaster management is started from the time about 150 years back, when the concept was said that we have to think environment beyond its conventional nature. So that's how we recognize the importance. What new we have achieved? We have only tried to bring some kind of a systematization, science knowledge, and that is percolated to all of you in different forms. For example, today, when Dr. Claudio mentioned about certain important issues, one of the issues that he divided into 3 sections. One, he talked about the ICD-11. I believe all the students know what is ICD-11. Probably somebody gave an example of ICD-10, somebody talked about ICD-11, and then you applied this knowledge to various pollution issues, diseases, categories. So you know those parts. But what you do not know probably, the next phase of discussions, what Professor Claudio mentioned, about the diagnostic criteria. That how do I differentiate that this particular causative agents leading to this kind of a disorder, infirmity or functional disablement. Those parts probably you are missing. So it gives me a kind of an uh, insight that probably we need some changes, amendments in our curricula to include those. These are international. Please understand, these two major agencies, World Health Organization and International Labour Organizations, are determined to bring out those concepts. He also mentioned about ATSDR. One of you asked to talk about the ATSDR. If you enter into the ATSDR website, yes, the guard has mentioned about ATSDR. If you enter into the ATSDR, all the, what should I say? There are, in India, whether you know or not, 88,000 toxic chemicals are sold, manufactured, marketed, used by the industry. 88,000 chemicals. By the ATSDR records, we have made some schematic analysis that only about 400 to 500 chemicals are listed in the ATSDR. Remaining things we really do not talk about that because we do not know. So when we remember, when the classroom, first batch of students, I said, okay, find out 10 toxic chemicals, remember? And so 12 students, 10 chemicals means 120 chemicals we asked you to list it. The idea is not to know about 120 chemicals. Idea is to understand that if I can do 10 chemicals, I will be able to do 450 chemicals and I will be able to contribute for the remaining 88,000 chemicals. The teaching is not to acquire the knowledge. Teaching is only that how to arrive at that situation. And I hope that we are trying to convey this message and you will take this home. This is one. Second thing aspects that who mentioned? Yes. Trine mentioned about the burden of disease, correct? The burden of disease is a relatively old concept developed from the Harvard School of Public Health with the initiative of the WHO. WHO asked them to do it. So they came out a concept called disability adjusted life year. And then they added a word called loss. Means, let us say the example we take about hexavalent chromium. Chromium hexavalent state is very unstable. And it can only come through the water medium, liquid medium. It cannot come in a what is called in a solid state. So when hexavalent chromium enters into the system, it is a known carcinogenic. So a person exposed to hexavalent chromium contracted with some kind of a disease occurrence of a variety of nature, which by ICD-11 code we can identify. A person can die, a person may not die, but the morbidity continues for a longer period of time. So, in the disability adjusted life year burden of disease calculation, we take into account both mortality plus morbidity. So, if a person, Dr. Claudio, a couple of years back, National Human Rights Commission asked me to design a proposal that how do I estimate the compensation to be given for patients, those who are suffering from silicosis. So it was a ready reckoner for me to explain to you. So if somebody contracted the disease at the age of 35, if I take the functional life is 70, that means at the age of 35, he has got 35 more years to live, free from any kind of health impairment. But he doesn't. He lives 65. So his functional life is reduced by 5 years. That means his mortality period is changed. And that 35 to 65, that period of time, he continued with the disease, but he did not die. He suffered from this. So that is a morbidity component, and if we combine these two factors, we come out with a value. It is not an individual. It is not an individual, it is a community based. It applies to asbestos exposure. For example, Kanish will know that the exposure of pesticides in certain regions of Central Asia at one point in time was very, very high. India is not that high, but we are still have a reasonably large number of people, both from mesothelioma as well as from lung cancer, and both of them are interlinked. So we should be able to calculate what is the life year loss taking place because of certain exposure. We are not a doctor, we are not the specialist of toxicology, but we can definitely contribute towards the public health care. And those are the issues which are very, very alarming for the country. Certain issues, I also do not know. For example, you mentioned about the groundwater. Dr. Biswas, you will agree with me, that entire region of this state, is highly contaminated with arsenic, groundwater arsenic. And that groundwater arsenic is so havoc creating in many places. He's the man who did all that studies about the concentration of water at different level. And those are, if we can overcome with technological advance, very good. But if not, what are the prevention measures? What are the burden that comes to us also is a part of our exercise. So by learning from this Erasmus Plus program, tutorial program, is to reinforce our commitment that what we are doing, reinforcement that we do more, we explore, because all 21 students have got 21 different projects today, correct? I believe that this group of 5 experts here, tomorrow when you write your thesis, all these theses will go to these 5 people. They will evaluate whether you have really learned things or not. Because I can keep on taking issues like this, but I will restrain myself saying that tomorrow is the day for interactions. Each one of you, whatever, sleep on this problem for the night, take some notes in the early morning and catch hold of them. Claudio, Gert, all of them, come in the morning and blast your questions, correct? So that they can give you some more insights to all this. Thank you very much.